Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the main channel. Now, as you can see today, we're going to be ranking all the Anime Adventures updates. I saw someone do a Anime Vanguards version of this, so I'll leave that down in the description as well. But yeah, we're going to get straight into this. Again, thank you guys for 500 subs. That is on the way. Don't worry about it. Tower defense content's just a little dry right now. So I'm trying to make sure I get the best content for that. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Alright, so starting off, we're going to go in order. So we're going to start with release, which is this right here. And release, in my opinion, I wasn't able to play during that time. Give me one moment. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, see, that's why I hate Opera, man. It just be moving my tabs. I wasn't able to play much. Actually, I don't think I played at all during release. So for me, I'm going to have to put it A tier because it started a game I love, so I can't be mad about it, right? But I don't know if it had any problems. You know, I can't put it S tier because is it a perfect update? Well, I don't know. It was the game dropping, which I think is great, but yeah, it released with some pretty decent units. I mean, obviously you had All Might, you had Diavolo, you had Broly, you had Madara, you had pretty cool units, like units you'd want to go get. Alright, moving on, we have the first update, which is this One Piece update right here. Now, this added Akainu, slows. It was the first ever limited units, the first leaderboard units. Overall, I'm going to say this is S tier. It added a lot of stuff to the game. They added stuff other than just mythics, which a lot of games don't do. They actually added some legendaries. They added some epics. They added a slow. They added a stun. They added burn. They added a limited unit. Three limited units, sorry. I think overall, great update. It really started the trend for a lot of stuff. The ones that are very original are going to be very high on my list because anything that adds to the game is going to be great. Alright, next we have update 1.5, which was the raid update. Now, I know I just said anything that gets added is going to be a positive for me, but that is not true for the raid. When these raids came out, they were horribly designed. I believe you could do raids like you had a chance to do a raid once every 3 hours or something like that, or you only had 3 hours in a day to do the raid. It was something weird like that. Basically, you could not do the raids if you needed to evo a unit. You'd have to wait. It was just a terrible game mechanic. Any mechanic where you have to wait on something to come back, in my opinion, is bad. The only thing I let that slide on is like the star fruits, stuff like that. But mechanics where you gotta wait for stuff, I think is dumb. So that's going F tier for me. Alright, next we have the Tokyo Ghoul update, which I need to find it because for some reason when I made this, oh, here it is. Jesus, I couldn't find the Tokyo Ghoul. So in the Tokyo Ghoul update, we got some units. None of them were really that great. There was one new limited unit, new map. They increased the levels to 70. But other than that, this update honestly didn't add much. I'm going to go C tier because I don't think it was bad. Obviously, it's Tokyo Ghoul, so it's hype. But then again, it wasn't anything great. Also, the main character didn't even get a mythic. So yeah, a little bit underwhelming and nothing really new to the game. Or nothing really all that creative in that update. Alright, moving on. We have the Mugen Train Raid update. Let's see. Where's that at? Here it is. Alright, so we have the Mugen Train update. Honestly, in my opinion, I think this is also going to be an F tier. It added 2 units, which isn't great, and they were obtained from the raid, and the raids were still not fixed at this point. So overall, I think just bad update, honestly. It's going to go underneath. The raids for a while do kind of suck. Alright, moving on. We have update 3, which is Bleach. Now, Bleach added a lot. They added a ton of units, some of them which not being mythic, which is great. They added 2 limited units, new leaderboard unit as well, which is fantastic. They increased the level cap, new event, basically a whole bunch of new stuff. They added infinite rewards and everything like that, and yeah, they added daily quests to Star Remnant challenges. This added a lot. You could lock units as well. Overall, I would say this is another S tier update. I wouldn't put it over the One Piece one. I would have it a little bit below because this honestly is just a quality of life update, but just with Bleach characters. So, that's cool. But I think there are better, including the first One Piece update. All right, next we have Hunter x Hunter, and this is where I think their updates really started to pick up. Like, this is where the game started gaining traction, in my opinion. I still have yet to start playing at this point, but I could still feel the effects from this update. They added a bunch of new units, a bunch of mythics, a bunch of limited units that were all the same but changed. Not much quality of life stuff, but they added different mechanics as well. They added cosmetics. Overall, I would say this is a great update. I'd put it right behind the One Piece one. It's similar to the Bleach one, but this is where they started getting more creative with the units, which is why I'd put it a little bit above. All right, next we have Fairy Tail Part 1. I wish, honestly, I kind of want to group these together, but yeah, I don't think that's going to fly. So in the first one, they added 3 mythics and 2 limited units, one being Psyche K, the other one being Lucy, and they increased the level cap to 100. So this is when the level cap got fully finished. They added new skin feature, which was great. They added new enemy types and new unit mechanics. Now, I do think this is... I think this is going to go B tier. Because in my opinion, I don't think this needed to be separated into 2 parts. I think the units were a little lackluster. I mean, Natsu and Gray were kind of a little bit boring. Crush had a unique mechanic, but, he didn't age well at all. Lucy was very unique, probably the coolest unit in the update. Overall, I'd say it was just a solid update. There's nothing crazy about it. They added auto sell in this update, and they added skins, which is cool. But they also added the fire and ice type enemies, and potentially even regen. I don't think so. I think that came in Bleach, though, but I could be wrong. But they added new unit types as well, and ones that people aren't fans of, because we didn't even see them really anymore after this. We do a little bit, but not much, so I think B tier is solid for that. All right, next we have Fairy Tail Part 2, which was all limited units, and this is where dungeons got introduced, actually. So for me, I am going to put it A tier. I'm going to put it below release. The reason I wouldn't put it higher, even though it's a new event, is because the dungeons have not really been, mastered until I'd say now. So it took them a while to get it done. The units you got were cool. You got Jalal and you got Urza, which was great. And of course, this being just the part 2 of the Fairy Tail update, I wish they just released at the same time, because then this could probably put it in S tier. But since they're different updates, they're going to have to be split, and the dungeon is way cooler than just the normal story and stuff. All right, next we have the West City raid. I don't believe this is the one that fixed the raids. So for West City, if I can find it, I'm honestly going to put it C tier. The only reason I put it above the other 2 is because it had Cell in it, which was a unit you could get very easily and evolve very easily, even though the raids kind of suck still at this point. But Cell was very good for a long time, so that's why I put it in C tier, because this was an update that lasted. So although the raids sucked, it was worth doing that for the rest of the Alright, next we have JJK Part 1, which is right here, and this obviously included Gojo, Megami, Itadori, and then 2 legendaries, which are Nobara and Koyu. They had 1 limited unit, which was Economy. They also added a new world. They added a new game mode, which is Infinity Castle. They started balancing units in this update. They added trading. Yeah, for obvious reasons, this is going to go top of this tier. This update is what has been keeping the game alive. I don't think Infinity Castle, but I love Infinity Castle. It's one of my favorite game modes in all tower defenses. But it introduced trading, and to this day, AA still has the best trading in any tower defense game. And that is what's going to keep the game alive, even when it has down points like it does right now. So that's going to be S tier. It's introduced us something for these big holidays, right? So for that, I'm going to put it A tier. I don't think the units were all that crazy. They added quite a few units, a few limited as well. But I just think overall that this update, well, they were all limited, sorry. But I think this update started something good, a good trend, like with the Christmas update and the newer Halloween update. But yeah, overall, I don't think it was all that amazing. All right, so we're back. Sorry, I had to take a break to go eat. We finished off on the Halloween update, which means we're on the Black Clover Part 1, which introduced quite a few. Yeah, quite a few mythics. It also introduced Wendy, which I didn't know. I thought Wendy was out before this, so that's good buff. They had the first... Is this when Infinity Castle came out? No, we already had Infinity Castle. This is the first Infinity Castle unit. Also, we got a leaderboard unit and a lot of limited units. They added special banner, relics. Okay, this update added so much. I'm going to put it right behind the JJK update because in terms of hype, I don't think it's quite as much. But they added so much stuff that this was definitely an S tier update. Just fantastic. Our next we have Black Clover Part 2. Sorry, I was about to say Black 2, which that didn't make sense. But you get what I'm saying. So they added teams, Julius. They added the daily challenge. I would say overall this was pretty lackluster update. I'll put it at top of C because it added some good stuff like the daily challenge and the teams, but it added one unit. I mean, it can't be all that great. Alright, next we have the Karakura Town Part 1, which added Soifon, Ichi Dusk, Kenpachi, and Ging, and Shinji. Sorry. And let's see what they added. New units and relics. So pretty much not much, right? So I would still say it's a mid update. It's pretty hype, I guess. They didn't really add anything. Actually, I'm going to move it to C tier underneath relics. They just didn't add much. I don't think this was really a great update by any means. It wasn't bad, but not great. And then part 2 is literally just Aizen and Yamamoto. And they made Wendy hybrid, and that's all I'm seeing. So honestly, probably the same thing. They're going to go like... They're pretty much the same update. They could have put that all in one. Next we had the JoJo's update, which added Jotaro, Jolene, Hermes, Poochie, Weather, Nasio, this was the first time they had a battle pass, correct? I think so. This was the first time they had a battle pass. A lot of limited units. They added trading for some units. They added gifting. They added... Wow, they added a lot. Honestly, this update was... They also added Infinity Castle rewards as well. I'd honestly say this update... It added a whole new bit. I'm going to put it S tier. I do think it's S tier. I'll put it probably right above the Hunter x Hunter update. I mean, it added so much for the game that's still used now. And even Poochie is still a used unit very much. Oh, Jesus. And this was the update that added Amelia. Amelia is still used by a lot of people. This was a really good update. Next, we have the Christmas update, which people are going to feel a certain way about this. This introduced Dio over Heaven. I believe no, because there's already capsules in Halloween, but this is like the very difficult one. Same with the eyes, and they added Ice Queen, Todoroki, Toshiro, Haku, quite a few different stuff. They added the part 2 of the Battle Pass. This was pretty much the Halloween event, but on steroids, and I would say it is a mid-tier update. It was iconic for the game. Adding Dio over Heaven was really a major push for them. It was iconic. I mean, Dio over Heaven, trading Dio over, everybody knows that was a very iconic update for them. So that's why it's going to go B tier. It just didn't come with that much. All right, next we have the Chainsaw Man update, which honestly I think I already know where I'm going to put it, but I'm going to leave it in B for now while I just read over everything. So they added emotes, they added titles, they added a ton of units. They added a new quest system with portals and stuff like that, and a new shop and everything. So, yeah, for me, I think pretty comfortably this is going to be an A tier update. It was pretty hyped. They added quite a lot, honestly. So it's just overall a very good update. They added a limited relic as well, which is very interesting. But, yeah, very, very good update. So I'm going to put it top of A. All right, next we have the One Punch Man update. Okay. Sorry. Next we have the One Punch Man update, which added quite a few mythics like Tatsumaki, Genos, Bang, Sonic, Metal Knight, which Metal Knight would soon become a must-have unit for quite some time after this. And then we have Lord Boros, Android 21, Toby, Tatsumaki. This is when they added tournaments, so that's actually huge. That's a big thing. They buffed rewards and everything like that. Okay, so for me, I'd probably say this is like a lower A tier update. I think tournaments alone probably put it up there, but also the units they added were meta for a very long time. Some of them still are, like Tatsumaki. So I think it's a pretty solid update. I just think there was it's pretty much Metal Knight and Tatsumaki. All the other units were kind of bad. So other than Lord Boros, but he was the limited. So yeah, it just could have been a little bit better, but overall still a good update. Next we have the Cloud Hunt, which it's going to be the same picture because this is just a battle pass, and they buffed a lot of stuff. This is pretty much quality of life. They added next level. Yeah, this is all quality of life stuff for the most part. They added Nami and Thor, and for that, I think it's also going to go A tier. It's just a pretty solid quality of life. Our next we have the Storm Hideout. I'm not a big fan of this update whatsoever. If you want me to tell you the truth, I just don't enjoy it. Honestly, none of the units as well were really that good other than Itachi. I think I'm also going to put it F tier, which is crazy because I do enjoy raids now, but a lot of the early raids I felt were pretty bad. And this raid included, I was not a big fan of. Next, we have the 7 Deadly Sins update part 1, which added Danny Greed, King, Sloth, Melio, and Gouthie. Also, Miss Ninja, Snake Princess, Jesus. They added stat potential as well. They added where you could sacrifice units to transfer potential as well. So overall, this is a pretty solid update. Meliodas stayed meta for a very long time. Why can't I find it? Where's Meliodas at? There he is. Overall, it's just a solid update. I'd probably put it right above the Fairy Tail update. The potential system's huge, but the only unit that really lasted from this was Meliodas. The rest of it's cool, but nothing crazy. Then we have part 2, which is pretty much just Pride. It had Marilyn as well. But honestly, this is probably going to go... Oh, this is tough. I think it's going to go towards the top of C tier. It just didn't add much. Like, yes, meta unit for a very long time, but they could have just dropped that within the update, in my opinion. All right, next we have Friezo's Invasion. Honestly, I hate this too. I hate this update. If you want me to be honest, I'll probably put it underneath the Naruto raid. I found this raid boring. Vegeta fell off quickly. Golden Frieza stayed relevant for quite some time. Piccolo, no one really cared about. Hanj and Bash were the Battle Pass units, but it didn't add much. All it did was add a new raid. And I think it was just a new raid level. No, it was one raid. Never mind. But yeah, just not a good update in my opinion. I think kind of boring. Alright, next we have update 12, which is the My Hero update. That is going last. I think you should know why. It is the reason AA is the way it is with the models. It's the reason the game was down for a year. So yeah, it's going to go last. It did add some cool stuff, but yeah, it was just not great, honestly. Not for the long term of the game, because it ended up hurting it bad. All right, next we have the April Fool's update, which I have Vecco here to represent. So if you were wondering why there's characters and portals, it's because they didn't make an official picture for them, right? So I just grabbed something I could to represent. April Fool's is cool. It was just a High School DxD and like Dragon Ball update, I guess. They added new portals. I would say it's okay. The units weren't really that good. I'd put it above the old West City raid. It was decent, just nothing crazy. It was a little update though, so who cares? And now we have the update that I started playing on, which was Easter. Which, yes, I rated all these without really playing, but I still understand the effects of them and stuff. So, don't worry, I'm legit. Anyway, we have the Easter update here, which the Easter update I thought was enjoyable, but it just added it just added a support, and the other two units are kind of trash. Honestly, the concept is cool. The execution was not that great, though. I'd probably put it behind the Itachi raid. Just not a fantastic update by any means. Then we have the Entertainment District raid. This was honestly a really good update, in my opinion, if I could find where it is. Did I not grab this? I swear I did. Maybe I did not grab this picture. Give me one moment. Alright, so we have it here now. My apologies. This was the first raid that was actually really good. It added Gyutaro, who is now Sepsis. It added Tengen, who was meta for a very long time. Daki, who was also meta. Oshi, who's insanely meta. Yeah, honestly, they also added some quality of life stuff, but who really cares? I would say, thing is, the update was kind of short, and it was a half update, but it was really good. It was really enjoyable, and it was the start of raids becoming good. So I'm gonna put it in an A tier towards the bottom. It was still really solid, or really fun update, honestly. But now we move on to update 13, which was Dressrosa, which we have here, which added Luffy, Usopp, Fujitora, Law, Sabo, Doflamingo, Nejire, Rayleigh, and Ippo. It says they added new mechanics. They added world jumpers here. Wow. So when they added log in every day for rewards and stuff like that. I mean, I'm going to be pretty honest. This update is definitely S tier. I'd say better than the last one. Yeah, I'd probably put it third. As of now, I honestly think this update was fantastic for the game. It was one of the most hyped, being Dressrosa. That's one of the best arcs, if not the best arc, from one of the most popular shows in the world. So that was great. It has units that lasted. Like, Luffy's not great anymore, but he lasted quite some time. Usopp is still amazing. Fuji lasted quite a while. Law is still one of the best units in the game. Sabo kind of sucks. Doflamingo's okay, but overall, it just lasted very long and brought a lot of hype to this game. So I have to put Dressrosa in S tier. It is very good. Alright, next we have the Madoka Magica update. Now, this update, I feel like, is kind of, in a world of black and white, it's gray. Right? I just don't know how to explain it any other way. This update was unique. It was the first to have the portal system with the shards, and it was for an anime. I remember when this dropped, no one really knew what this was. I mean, people had to look up what this was. Most people did not know. But it added some really, really good units, honestly. Even the Battle Pass units were pretty good. Yeah, they had this when they added auto-activate abilities and stuff. Overall, this update was great and bad at the same time. The units were not great, so a lot of people weren't grinding until they buffed the odds. And then when they buffed the odds, it ended up becoming great. But this added so many meta units that lasted for a very long time. I'm going to put it right above the Tengen raid. I personally enjoy the Tengen raid more, but the Madoka update just lasted a whole lot longer, in my opinion. It was just very, very good for the game in terms of the units that it added. Alright, next we have Sword Art. Honestly, this is going to be very low for me. I absolutely hated this update because not only did it screw me, I did not do did not get a lot of stuff in this update. I used tens of thousands of gems and almost, I think I maybe pulled Kirito. That's it. I pulled no one else. I still don't have Leafy. But anyway, that's besides the point. This update was really unlucky for me, so I already didn't like it. But then it's Sword Art, a show I really don't like. That's one of the only shows I've watched that I really didn't enjoy. Updates were, I mean, the units were actually pretty good. It did add Stain, which was great. So I might move it up a little bit. I'll probably move it up just one. But this update was very boring, in my opinion. The Legend Stage grind on this was just terrible, and it was for Sword Art units. Like, who really cared? I had much more time doing this, much better of a time doing the Stain raids than doing this. I was just really hated this update. It was not good. Alright, next we have the Anniversary update, which is represented by Guts here. I'm going to be honest, this is probably the best update they've ever had. This update brought so much hype with Berserk, which is crazy because I didn't think that many people watched it. I knew it was really popular, but this update had a ton of players on it. It added another raid with Sengoku, who was trash, but it added 2 new limited units. One was through Berserk, one was through the Anniversary stuff, which was Issei, which portals come out shortly after this, they had Gabimaru, who's still a meta unit, who was in the Battle Pass. And overall, that whole anniversary system with the Dragon Balls was honestly amazing. This was one of the most fun updates they've ever added. So, yeah, they also added some other stuff. Like I think this is the first time they did limited bundles. I could be incorrect. They also added a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah, in my opinion, this is a fantastic update. All right, the next update is the summer update. Speaking of, now this update I hold very highly. I think this is the best Portal update they've done, and I honestly don't know why, because a lot of Portals are like this, but this one was just the best. I don't know. The grind was really fun. The units were really worth getting. The shinies were really cool. The only one that wasn't really great was Kisame, but everything else was great. It added more tiers to the Battle Pass. I can't put it too high because it didn't do anything other than add units, really. But honestly, I'm going to put it towards the top of S tier. This was one of the most fun updates I've ever seen in a tower defense. Honestly, it might even be my number one. I loved this event. It was so much fun. And I don't know why, because it was just a portal, but something about it, it was just great. So, yeah, it's going to stay in this channel. Fantastic update. Alright, next we have a very controversial update, and that is the Overlord update. This added a new mechanic, it added new legend stages, the new mechanic being the way to get Hines. And honestly, this update's going to have to go F tier. There was so much wrong with it. Not only did this update release at 3 a.m. for some reason, which they hadn't done it before, at least to my knowledge, since I started playing. Then they added 5 banner units, all of them being pretty bad except for like 1. And then you had 2 Evo 3, which took forever. This was taking days just to get Hines out. Hines is absolutely worth it, 100%. But it was just a very boring grind for 1 unit, and especially with the troubles and bugs, the game was shut down because they actually got into legal issues with Overlord first before my hero, so that's why it's also going to have to be F. This was a very bad update for the game. It just was terrible. The launch was terrible, and the only unit worth getting was Hines. Honestly, the rest were Shell Tier ended up becoming meta, of course, because of the bleeding amplification, but just not a good update. Alright, next we have Diamond is Unbreakable. Now, this was a raid that introduced 4 new units, which is Hero, Josuke, Koichi, and Rohan. This raid is pretty cool. I would honestly put it, I'd say A tier. It was a very solid update, especially for a half updated too, to have a raid like this with units that are really good. We have a stun unit, which I don't believe is new, but it was very interesting. Rohan was completely unique. I bet not a lot of people cared for him. It introduced the new best slow for longer events, which would be Koichi, and it introduced Kira, which is another meta support. So it was a very big support update. All it was a raid, so I'm struggling to put it any higher because the fact it only dropped 4 units, but overall this was a fantastic update. Alright, update 17, we have the Fate update, which added a bunch of units. Added Lancer, Saber, Archer, Ilya, Medei, Gilgamesh, a bunch of other people too. They had Dragon Ball units, Bell, who was actually pretty solid. And then, yeah. So let's see. Let's look at what else they added. They obviously added the event shop and everything, new battle pass, more world jumpers added. They didn't really change too much. They moved a lot of mythic units out of the special banner, but other than that, anything crazy. This did release a lot of great units and a pretty fun grind. But I'd probably put it at the top of B. I feel like this grind got old quick because you had to do infinites for the portals, so not a lot of people really enjoyed it, which I totally understand. I can't say I blame them for it, so yeah, but overall it had good units and it was a decent grind. Next we have the Port Agency update. This update was the definition of like being too easy until we get another update, which we'll get to later. But this update was very easy when it came out. You could literally AFK, you could set up a tiny task, but the units were pretty good and the units were pretty cool, so I'm going to have to put it like, I'm going to put it bottom B because it's just a mid update. It was just easy, so, you know, you could just like AFK it, but you could also do it. It was similar to the Homeworld one, but just a whole lot easier, so yeah, nothing really to say about that. Alright, next we have the newest Halloween event, which had Alucard, Hinami, uh, Hedon, Sid, and Gas, right? So this update was pretty hype. A lot of people were playing this when it came out, and it lasted so long. I am struggling to put it. I don't know. I think it is great. I think I'm gonna put it right there, right above the cure rate. I think it was fun. It's just at this point, the dungeons being 50 waves, it's just a lot. It really is. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. The units were really cool, and I got quite a lot of them. So I was happy about that. But overall, just the dungeons taking that long was a little ridiculous. But moving on, now we have the Naruto update, which honestly, this is the best Legend Stage update they've ever had, at least for the Legend Stage part, right? They added a bunch of units, all meta in their own way. The only one that's not really good was Naruto, even though he did a lot of damage. Battle Pass units suck this time, though. I don't think they really added anything else. No, not really. But overall, for a Legend Stage update, I would say it was pretty solid. I'd probably put it right behind the Tengen raid. It was pretty fun, pretty enjoyable. Brought new meta units and stuff, so yeah. Alright, moving on, we have the Boo raid, which was the last raid the last update to come out before the game shut down, which we're going to use Boo to do it because there's no picture. Obviously, it added a raid, it added Vegito, and overall it was just great. So, this is tough for me on where I want to put it. It is probably the best raid to come out. So I think it might have to go S tier. I'm gonna put it right behind the One Piece update. Although it only added 3 units, all 3 units are incredibly meta still to this day. The grind is very easy, honestly. People are willing to do it with you. It drops relic shards. It's pretty easy. And yeah, overall, just very solid update. Couldn't ask for much more leading into Christmas, and then the game shut down. Fast forward a year later, we're at the Christmas event, which obviously, if you're watching this, you have probably played it. They added limit break, transfer traits, everything. They added a whole bunch, right? I have a lot of good things to say about this update, and I have some bad things too. It is going to end up S tier. It added so much to the game after coming back, a ton of units, a ton of quality of life stuff, which they're still working on improving every day. It added a lot of great units. It added something worth the grind, being Aizen. But the reason it is not going to be towards the top, and I'd honestly probably put it just above the Bleach one, is because of the macros. Now, that's not AA's fault. Honestly, it's Anime Defender's fault. They're the ones that really started the whole macro thing, and now it has become rampant. It's like a disease. Every game has macros. But it kind of sucked. You would lose a lot on the Christmas event because you'd go in and people would be macroing and stuff. And overall, this is when tower defenses stopped becoming games. I think this is a problem that Vanguards has too. Vanguards has a lot of macroing too. It's just not playing games. It's just not playing the game. And that's an issue, That's why the player rates are low. Except when they have an update, and then they will drop again for every game just because of they're just people AFKing, right? So yeah, honestly, it's still S tier because of all the amazing stuff it added, but it just was not great, honestly. All right, next we have the Sakamoto Days update, which is going to go in F tier, and I honestly hate to say that because I really enjoyed this update. I thought it was great. Until the community started complaining, saying it was too difficult, this, and that, which made no sense, by the way. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. I've talked about it a bunch on my channel. But basically, if you think you should have a 70% chance at getting an item for a secret every 12 hours and be able to do that by yourself, then, yeah, you got something wrong with you because that's insanely easy. I got the secret in 4 days, and you could get it in way less. Now, it could take longer. But with 100% buff, that is a 70% chance you get it every run, resets every 12 hours. And the fact that it needed a full team, I thought was great because it's like, wow, that is insane odds. Finding a full team for this, that's a good idea. And then they made it easy because of all the complaining, and people finished the update within a week. So thank you, community, for ruining that update. Obviously, it's not all of you. And and it may not even be any of you watching, right? But the fact that people complained about that was so stupid, and how people were complaining that AA ruined that update, blah blah blah, but it was because of the community. But anyway, now we move on to update 20, which is the Shibuya and Dungeon update. This update added a brand new game mode with the dungeons. It added many meta units, but it is only an update old, so obviously a lot are going to be meta. Let's see. They added an event shop, obviously a new battle pass, new quality of life features. They added in-game manager. They added worthiness as well. I do think this update is S tier. I think it has the same issue though with the winter event, which is why I'm going to leave it at the bottom, and then it's macroable. But I think this has been very fun. I really enjoyed this update. I love doing the dungeons. I just haven't pulled any of the new units on banner, which is kind of annoying me. But yeah, I guess this is the issue where things started to get remodeled, and I think that's where a lot of people started losing love in the game, was because all their units were becoming units they can't recognize. So I get that, but the gameplay wise, this update was still great, so it's going to go S tier. And now we have the April Fool's event, which to me is going to go A tier. I think it's the best dungeon we've got. It's been super fun. The units have been super fun, and it only goes to 30 waves, so it's very doable. And anyone can do it. You don't need to have meta units to go into this to win. You can do it on your own and be fine. So yeah, I think it's a great update. Again, it's just, I think the modeling thing has really got people upset, because other than that, I don't understand why people aren't playing it. I love the April Fool's update, and I don't see how you couldn't. I don't see how people could sit there and play the Christmas and Halloween and not enjoy this one. Maybe it's because of the units, people don't know them, the meme units, but they're pretty good. Now, hopefully we do get an update this weekend, because it's Easter. They should have an Easter update, so like they did last year, but who knows. Anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, if you made it this far, I got some membership stuff down there if you guys want to check it out. Of course, completely up to you guys. But yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching.